Hi, in this video we're going to learn how to use por y para in Spanish. So let's take a look when to use por and para and some tricks that I can teach you so that you can understand when to use por and when to use para when speaking Spanish. Let's begin with por. The easiest way to learn one of the cases is when we use the passive voice in English. If we use the passive voice in English, we use by. For example, this house was built by my father. So that by, you can translate it into English with por. Always. There's no exception to that rule. So whenever you're using the passive voice in Spanish and you want to indicate the person or the thing that is executing the action, then you're going to use por. For example, the house was built by my father. So, la casa fue construida por mi padre. That's in the passive voice. So, another use of por is duration of time. For example, estudié español por 3 meses. I studied Spanish for 3 months. So, if you want to emphasize the duration of time of some action, then you're going to use por and not para. You also use por when you need to give a reason or a motive for something. For example, hice la tarea por mi hermano. Or, for example, lo hice por ti. I did it for you. I did the homework for my brother. It means here that I did the homework in place of my brother, or because of my brother, or because I wanted to help him, not to give this homework to him. Another use case is exchange or substitute. For example, cambié mi reloj por un móvil nuevo. So I exchanged my watch for a new phone. So when you're exchanging or replacing something, you're going to use por. Another thing, movement through, along, or around. For example, paseamos por la ciudad toda la noche. We walked around the city all night. So paseamos por la ciudad toda la noche. Estuvimos por la ciudad toda la noche. Estuve paseando por el parque todo el día. These are some examples when you use por in the sense of movement. Means of communication or transportation. Prefiero viajar por tren. Prefiero viajar por avión. So, I prefer to travel by train or by plane. So, this by here, as you can see, coincides with por, like in the passive voice. So, agent of passive voice, as I told you before. El mural fue pintado por Frida Kahlo. The mural was painted by Frida Kahlo. So let's take a look now when to use para. So para, you can use it for destination. For example, when you're giving something to someone, okay, you always use para, okay, because that's the destination. I'm doing something as a destination, as a donation, for example, for someone, then you use always para. This is for you. Esto es para ti. Okay, like a gift. Every time you have to give a gift or you have something for someone, then you use para, always. For example, este regalo es para Ana. This gift is for Anna. You're going to use para also for purpose or goal, in order to. Whenever you use, for example, in order to, then you can replace it in Spanish for para. Tomo clases de baile para mejorar mi técnica. Estudio inglés para encontrar un trabajo mejor. Okay, I take dance classes to improve my technique. I study English to get a better job. I study Spanish to travel abroad, to go to Latin America. In that case, it's a purpose, a goal, then you're going to use para because that's your goal. Then we use para also when we're talking about deadline. Necesito terminar este proyecto para el lunes. I need to finish this project by Monday. So here you can see that in English, we use by, and then it doesn't coincide with for like in the passive voice, but with para. I know it's complicated, but this is the way. So when you have a deadline, you use para. Lo necesito para mañana. Lo necesito para ayer, by yesterday. It means that you gotta do it really fast. Also, when we're talking about opinion, for example, in Spanish, para él, la pizza es la mejor comida. For him, pizza is the best food. Para nosotros, divertirnos es lo más importante. For us, having fun is the most important thing. In my opinion, then you can use para and not por. We use it also in comparison and contrast. For example, para ser tan joven sabe mucho. So for being so young, he knows a lot. Also, when you're talking about employment, who do you work for? Then you use para. For example, trabajo para una editorial. I work for a publishing company. Trabajo para una sociedad muy importante. Or you can say, for example, trabajo para nada. So I work for nothing because the money that I make is not enough for a living. So these are some tips. So you can see that it's not so easy, so simple to learn when to use por and para. It sounds a little bit weird when you misuse por and para, but sometimes it doesn't change the meaning, and it's okay if you make a mistake. We can understand the whole phrase. But there are two cases that you can learn right away and use por and para the right way. First tip, for passive voice, always use por. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, when you're using for in English, when you're giving something to someone, a gift, or you're planning something for a goal, then you always use para. This is for you. Esto es para ti. This is to buy a house. Esto es para comprar una casa. So with those tips, you can cover almost 80% of the cases. The other thing is that sometimes you can use both por and para, but then the meaning changes if you use por and para. And that's why we have to pay attention. For example, if I say, estoy haciendo esto por ti, I'm doing this because of you. You're the reason why I'm doing this. But if I say, I'm doing this, estoy haciendo esto para ti, it means that I'm doing this for you. You're the destination. You're the receiver of my action. I'm creating an object or I'm doing a task, and that task is for you. Or I'm creating something special for you as a gift, as a present. That's for you. Then you use para. If you're the reason why, then we're going to use por. If you're the destination, or whoever or whatever is the destination of my action, then I'm going to use para. Okay, like a donation. I'm giving something away to someone, then that's para. This is for you. Thank you. But if I use por, it means you're the reason why I'm doing this. So I hope these tips can help you master por and para, and see you soon in our next lesson. Bye.